Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, the U of A falls in Salt Lake City to the Utah Utes by a score of 45-20. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, this was not the Wildcats' best performance at all. You might even say it might be their worst performance this season, going up and losing by 25. But again, this was the best defense, Glenn, in this conference, and I believe one of the better defenses in all of college football. And I thought going in, this offense could duplicate what they had been doing over the last few weeks against this defense. Then you knew that you had something going. But it is so much more difficult to operate against this Utah defense. You know, one of the things we talked about last week, going into last week's game at USC, was how good we thought that the Trojan defensive backs would defend against the Wildcats. I thought Utah and their defensive backs were even that much better in this ballgame.
Yeah, I think that they did a great job against our receivers. Stinger had one catch. That's one of our best receivers, one catch. And then we only had 7 receptions, completions in the second half. That is a equation of to lose. We got to be able to do, if we're going to use our pass game, we have to be able to make more completions and move the ball down the field. They also took a playbook, which I think we should be using, is that they shortened the game down. They had the ball 38 minutes. We had it 22 minutes. That is ridiculous for us. We can't win like that. We don't have enough possessions to win the football game. And every possession is crucial that we had to score. And if you don't score, you get behind. And that's exactly what they did. 55 runs, 300 yards on the ground. We were running the ball. We only had 15 carries for our running backs because 10 of those of that 25 was Jayden de Laura. So I think we need to feed that beast a little bit more, shorten the game down, and then we have to get a couple stops on defense if we can.
Yeah, I know, and I know that's something, Glenn, you have been talking about all year long, but my question to you is, do you believe you have the offensive line to be able to do that? Because this Utah offensive line, I mean, those guys, I mean, the term that they used during the ball game, and we've heard before, was they really leaned on this defensive line for U of A. A team like Utah can do that. I'm not so sure that U of A has the offensive line where they can do what you're asking them to do.
Well, I think they could, because they showed it that they could run the ball. We had some running plays, but the thing about a running game, I think, is that they understand that you got to continue to keep at it. You can't just abandon it and then go back to it and things like that. Understand we got behind, so it's hard for us to get in that running game. But I think we got to start initially and start running the ball because we got some great backs. I think we can move the ball and then get into those third and shorts and second and shorts. Those are great opportunities for our offense. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense on the other side because of the way our offense of all the weapons that we have.
Well, and I think I understand what you're saying. I think it's wishful thinking, though. I think, and I've said this before, I think Jedd Fisch is going to roll with his quarterback kind of leading the way because that's how he feels more comfortable. That's what he believes is the strength of this team is Jayden de Laura and passing the football to try to set up the run the way that we've seen them do at times. And the thing with Jayden in this ballgame, I just thought that he was off, Glenn, from the very beginning of this ballgame. Missed early throws to both Tanner McLaughlin and Tetero McMillan. Just was not on point. Had receivers open early, but just missed, and that was something we had not seen from Jayden in the last few.
And I agree with you, Dave. I think that he is the strength of our offense. I think Jayden is one of the best. I think he is the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. I think he's in the top 3 for sure. I think he is in this conference, but I don't know if we can help. I think we can help him more if we get the run game going. I think that's going to give him more opportunities. It's going to reduce the rush because if they know that we're passing all the time, they're going to come at us. They're going to pin their ears back and they're going to go. They're not going to worry about the run. So they're going to be able to go and come and do some serious pass rush against us. So I think we need to try to counter that. How do we counter that? Maybe some screens, maybe some bubble, maybe some different things that we can do with our backs out of the backfield, hitting the tight end more over the middle, doing option routes with them, understanding, doing some of those kinds of things. I think could be an asset for us on offense. And you know what? Here I am. I'm a Monday morning offensive coordinator. This is what I see after the game. I don't know what they're seeing during the game, what they think that their weaknesses are. And I think that we just need to be a little bit more conscious of what we have and who we are.
Well, you mentioned Utah dialing it up, and I thought that, to me, the difference in the game was the first 9 plays of the second quarter. The Wildcats down 14-7. They were driving to tie the ball game. They got down to the Utah 24, and then Utah just turned up the blitz, getting a pair of sacks in 4 plays on Jaden Delore to force the ball out of U of A's hands. And then, like we said, they took it over with their run game, running 5 plays on the ground to amass 60 yards. And I want to talk, Glenn, specifically about this 3rd and 1 play here on this drive. It was a 32-yard run over on the right side here. You've got Jacob Manu, the way this play is lined up, as the linebacker on the left. Now, as it starts, Hunter Echols, to me, looks like he kind of got clogged up into the inside more so than trying to set the edge here. Manu goes to the outside of Echols, and that leaves this gap inside for the ball carrier. And you've got Ephesians Price out there. He was playing a lot of deep, kind of in a deep safety in a lot of these sets defensively on Saturday. If he can make that play there, it's a 5-yard run, but you're asking a freshman to come up and try to make a play. He couldn't do it, and it turned into a 32-yard run to the doorstep, and they scored a few plays later to go up 21-7 in the ball game. What did you see when you looked at that play?
Well, when I saw that play, I thought, the basics of that play was that guys were getting tied up. They got in their gaps, and then they had the opening for Price to make the tackle. You got to make that tackle. You're playing now. Now you're in there. You got to make that tackle. He went low at him. The guy just basically ran right, over the top of him. I don't think he might not even touch him. It didn't look like he touched him, and that you got to make that tackle. That's got to be your head up, get your head to the side, and take him on. That's a big back. That back was he's like 215, I think. He's a big guy, so you got to be able to take that running back on, make the tackle.
All right, Speedy Luke was back for the Wildcats on the offensive side of the ball. He played in his 4th game. Glenn, do you continue to play Speedy Luke? On Thursday, Jed Fish said they weren't worried about whether or not to redshirt him. He was going to play. Now, maybe that was something that he said before the 4th game, and now you talk to the kid after 4 games to decide what the path is going forward. But what do? Do you continue to play Speedy and some of these other kids that have played 4 games? I mean, again, to me, they've gone all in with the freshmen, so I don't see any reason not to play Speedy Luke going forward because of, the youngness of this team and the way that it's going to set up in the future. To be quite frank, kids just aren't staying 5 years anymore. So I don't know why, that there's a thought that if you've got good players that you should even attempt to redshirt them. I mean, at most, Speedy might stay 4 years, probably only 3. So you might as well just go ahead and continue to play him.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. I thought, you should, if that Utah game was going to be his 4th game, I thought maybe you saved him to the ASU game, the last game, because if we have a chance, we win out. We win out the rest of the games. We have that chance. Then you start playing. If we beat UCLA next week, then I would, start playing him, because then we're going to get in a bowl game. But I just don't. I would have not played him and just let him say, hey, dude, we're going to redshirt you, and then you're going to be it. Or I don't know if he can get a medical. I don't think he can get a medical for that injury. So, but I would have not played. I wouldn't have played him.
Interesting. All right, before we get over to the defense, Noah Fafita got into the ball game late through his first touchdown pass. Special moment there between the 2 freshmen, high school teammates, and Noah Fafita and Tetaroa McMillan. The thing that stands out to me, Glenn, about Noah Fafita is I just think he looks real confident throwing the football. Now, granted, they weren't blitzing him to the point and to the extent that they were blitzing Jaden Delore early in the ball game, but I still think, when he gets in there with what he has to work with, he looks pretty confident what he's doing out there.
Yeah, I think the more time he gets, the better he will be. He just needs reps, man. That kid is just he's ice water, man. He's just really, he seems to be calm and he enjoys the moment. He seems like it, and he looks like he's really, when he looks and observes the defense, he's looking for his keys, man. This kid's not like, snap the ball and then let's go. I think he's already pre-reading before he gets the snap of the ball. The way he looks and the way he's looking around and observing the defense, I think he's going to be a great quarterback when he gets some time. When he gets a lot of time, he's just going to get better, man.
All right, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. A lot of kids, again, playing on that defensive side. We saw Evan Branch Haynes get into the ball game. But first of all, one other thing on offense, we saw Wendell Moe started at left tackle. He had a key block there on that big run early by Michael Wiley, so we want to definitely give him some love getting in his first game and making a nice play there as well. Again, on the defensive side, we saw Evan Branch Haynes get into the ball game. He was able to make a play in the red zone. They just continue to roll out those kids, Glenn, and that's to me, that's why you might as well just go ahead and play them all. If they're ready to get into games, you might as well just play them and get them that valuable experience.
It kind of reminds me of when I was, a kid, 9 years old. They threw me in the pool and said, "Hey, man, you got to swim. Sink or swim, man." That's what they're doing, man. They're throwing those guys in the fire, man. Throwing them in the pool. Let them see a sink or swim. And I think a lot of guys are swimming, man. They're swimming. They're going to get better. This is valuable experience. I give kudos to Jed Fish for doing that, for throwing them in there and saying, "Hey, man, this is what you came here for. Is to play football, to play in the Pac-12. And now you're playing against one of the best teams in the country, and let's see what you can do." And that's, I think that's great. I think it's awesome for our kids.
I'm going to ask you this question, Glenn. I asked this on Twitter on Friday. Who do you think is the best player on this defense?
On the defense?
Yeah.
I got Roland-Wallace.
Christian Roland-Wallace.
Yeah.
Christian Roland-Wallace is the best player on this defense. Have you ever seen Christian Roland-Wallace get in anybody's face after he made a good play?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then nobody else on this defense needs to be getting in anybody's face ever. Ever. Okay? Your best player doesn't do that. Okay? So follow the direction of your best player and stop getting stupid 15-yard penalties getting in people's faces.
Yeah, that's got to be a stop. That's got to be, you got to be done with that. We can't afford that. We're a team that can't afford penalties, man. We can't do that. We got to play clean games. So that's who we are right now. We don't have the talent, and we're not up on games, way up on games, we're up like by 15, 20 that we can afford stuff like that. We can't. We're always chasing the cat, man. So we got to be understand that we have to be a disciplined team.
All right, let's quickly touch on special teams, Glenn. Big, obviously, mistake by Jacob Cowing. My thought is I've always been, in terms of punt return, if I don't like fielding the ball. And Jed came out after the ball game and said that he's fine with his guys, and they teach to field the ball at that point inside the 10 because they'd rather not be backed up at the goal line like they were early in the ball game. But I've always felt like you shouldn't field the ball inside the 10. If it's going to be inside the 10, let it bounce. See if you can get that roll into the end zone and take it back out to the 20. And especially in a situation like that where the weather's bad, the ball's swirling, it's wet, it's raining. I just thought that was a situation where Jacob Cowing should have just let that ball go.
Well, you know how it used to be, unless you're Deion Sanders, okay?
Right.
Your heels are on the 10. If you have to back up at the 10, you let it go. So, and if you're backing up and there's rain and everything and you're on the 10, you definitely let it go. You shouldn't be trying to catch the ball. So, you know what? That's a decision. He wanted to make a play, man. I can't fault him for he's trying to make a play. Those guys are making play, but you got to make smart plays. You got to make those plays being smart. And I don't think he should have let that ball go.
Yes, smart decisions is what we need more of from this team as a whole. Make smarter decisions because, like you said, Glenn, you cannot afford some of the mistakes that we have seen the last 2 weeks that have now cost you, 2 ball games, a 4-game losing streak now. And again, yes, you're playing against 4 of the best teams in this conference. You're about to play one of the 5th best team in this conference coming up next week. And we knew going in this was not going to be an easy stretch of football. And for the most part, I think overall, the offense, like we said, has played well. This was going to be a statement test for them against the league's best defense, and unfortunately they didn't pass it. But you just cannot, you've got to try to be perfect in all those other areas because you cannot. If you're already undermanned on offense and defense, you got to be the team that wins in those other areas, and being smart is one of those main areas.
And another thing is that we had too many drop balls. We had a few drop balls that really kind of killed us. We can't have that. We can't afford that. So those kind of things, and putting the ball on the ground, and the weather, the conditions were difficult too with the rain. It was raining pretty hard there, and it was hard to throw the ball. It was hard to catch the ball, but everybody else had to do it. So you got to be able to do it. You got to be concentrating more on your hands and getting the ball into your hands and putting the ball away and securing the ball. As my boy Kelvin Efon says, 4 points on the ball. That's you had the 3 points on your arm, and then you had that other arm around that's the 4th point, and you protect it. You have to be able to protect the ball.
All right, as Jed Fish said after the ball game, it's a 3-game season. If you can win 3 and win out, you're going to a bowl game. That'd be a great way to end the season, to win these last 3 ball games. Never easy going into the Rose Bowl, though, and getting that accomplished, and that's where it starts on Saturday against the UCLA Bruins. We'll be back to preview that game for you on Saturday morning.